Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Stu, in your testimony, you clearly state, quote, "The department is committed to combating illegal child labor because we cannot build our economy on the backs of children," end quote. First of all, thank you for your moral clarity and for unwavering focus to keep kids safe from harm in dangerous workplaces. 2023, your department investigated 955 cases of child labor violations. It involved almost 5,800 children nationwide. Just last month, you cracked down on a parts supplier for John Deere that relied on children as young as 14 to conduct dangerous work. The department's work is outstanding. We need much more of it, which is why I believe the Wage and Hour Division and the solicitor need far more resources to continue going after companies that exploit vulnerable children. How would additional resources for Wage and Hour and the solicitor expand the department's efforts to combat child labor? Can you explain why securing penalties and judgments against offending employers is so resource intensive?
Thank you so much, Ranking Member, for your moral clarity as well. We are seeing really unconscionable cases of child labor. We are seeing 13-year-olds working the night shift on the kill floor of meatpacking plants, working with toxic chemicals, doing cleaning. We see young people working as sawmill operators, doing roofing, work that is understandably by law illegal for children to work in. We are not talking about a child who is working at the corner store, learning how to show up on time and provide good customer service and the importance of responsibility and a paycheck. We're really seeing terrible cases in which children are being put in harm's way. Our job is, one of our most important jobs is to put a stop to such child labor, to investigate, and our budget request includes $7.5 million specifically for child labor to increase the number of boots on the ground, to increase the number of investigators in the field who can investigate these cases. Usually involve employers who don't want to be discovered. They don't want people to know what is happening. And so it requires us to be innovative. It requires us to be smart. It requires us to ask the right questions. And oftentimes this happens because the location where the work is being done is not the direct hirer of the children. They often hire through a contractor, which creates other vulnerabilities. And so our investigations involve understanding who's responsible, what the right penalty should be, and include using tools that Congress has given us, like the hot goods provision.
Okay. I just will say about that, we need to give you the resources to crack down on companies that exploit children. Let's not mince words. On my part, we need to shut companies down that exploit child labor, and we need to send those responsible to prison. Let me just ask you about low salary thresholds. Because of these low salary thresholds for overtime eligibility under outdated regulations, employers have been strategically misclassifying their employees as, quote, managers in order to avoid paying overtime. This is wage theft, plain and simple. A recently published study found that giving workers these inflated job titles results in 13% less pay or a loss of $4 billion in overtime payments each year. By raising the overtime threshold, how would a revised regulation help to prevent this kind of grand-scale wage theft from low-wage workers that's happening across the country in a wide range of industries?
Yes, thank you so much, Ranking Member. Our wage and hour investigations find that overtime violations are some of the most common that we see. And as you noted, overtime violations deny workers a just day's pay. It's one of the fundamental promises in the Fair Labor Standards Act that when you work longer hours, you will be paid for it. And that form of misclassification, giving someone a title but their work is still very much the work of a frontline employee in order to avoid paying is a real problem. That is one of the reasons why we have have engaged in a rulemaking process because titles shouldn't be used to obscure what workers are really doing. And the salary test is one part of helping to ensure that workers who are entitled to overtime get overtime. And so it is just an important, very important piece of ensuring that workers who go to work each day get the wages that they have earned in their pockets.
What's interesting is just a news article that talked about, this was on CBS, would you rather be a front desk clerk or a, quote, director of first impressions? I think that really is carrying this to a different level. So we know how they're trying to circumvent the overtime rules and its wage theft. Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Dr. Harris.